Hello and welcome to today's lesson. So in this lesson, we are looking at algebra. So algebra is defined as a branch of mathematics which uses letters to represent physical quantities. Okay, so we are specifically going to be looking at factorization, and we are going to specifically look at quadratic expression. So we are going to be factorizing quadratic expressions. So a quadratic expression is a three-term expression. For example, x to the power 2 plus 5x plus 3. So this is a quadratic expression. So in order for us to factorize a quadratic expression, maybe before I go into that, a quadratic expression has got one variable. In this case, our variable is x. A variable is just simply a letter that represents a physical quantity. So we have x. So here it's raised to the power 2, and here it is raised to the power 1, and there's usually a constant which has got no variable. So now, in order for us to factorize, so first of all, the squared variable is termed a, and this one is b. Then this is just a constant, which is a c. So in order for us to be able to factorize, we need to turn this quadratic expression into a four-term expression. Here you can see that you have 1, 2, 3 terms. Now it needs to be 4. So how we make it 4? Our first step is to multiply the constant, the 6, multiply it with a number that is in front of the squared variable. We call it the coefficient. So when there's no number, like in this case, it means there's a 1. So we have 6 multiplied by 1, which is going to give us 6. So this 6, we just write it somewhere else. So we are now going to list down factors of 6. Any two numbers such that when you multiply the two numbers, we'll get 6. So one pair is 1 and 6. When you multiply these, they give you 6. Now, when the number is positive, then the factors can be negative. So we are talking about -1 and -6. When you multiply two negative numbers, you get a positive number. Another one is -2 and -3. This can also be positive. So from the list of these factors, we are going to pick a factor such that when you add that particular factor, it's going to give us the middle term here, which is +5. So when you add this, you get 5. When you add here, you get -5. When you add here, you get -7. When you add there, you get a 7. So the one that gives us +5 is the last pair of factors. And then what we are going to do now is that we are going to substitute. We are going to remove 5x and then replace it with 2 and 3. But then we are going to maintain the variable. So we are going to say x to the power 2. So here you see that this 2 is positive. So you say +2x. And then the 3 is also positive. You say +3x. Then you bring down the 6. You see now it has become a 1, 2, 3, 4 expression. So now what you do is that you are going to factorize these factors, this pair alone and this factor also alone. So what's common here is you have x here. So you factor out the x. So here it was x squared, which means you'll be left with a single x inside the bracket. And then here you only had you have 2x here. So when you factor out the x, which is common, you'll be left with a 2. And then the second sign here, you always have to pick it out. Then what is common here is 3. Since the 3 can go into 6, you have to remove the 3. Then you'll be left with x here. Then you ask, how many times does 3 go into 6? It goes there 2 times. And usually, when you are factorizing like this, you are always going to have a situation where these terms in the bracket are exactly the same. Same sign, and everything the same. So once they are the same, we just collect one, we pick out one. Like for example, you have x plus 2, and then you create a bracket for these which are outside the bracket, x plus 3. Okay, so just like this would have factorized a quadratic expression. I'm going to just solve another problem 2 or 3 just for you to be able to fully understand how to factorize a quadratic expression.